You wanna know something sad? I just realized that I did all that explanation for 12C and 12B, and my microphone is not even on. That was really sad. So, uh, I'll just erase some of the things that I've talked about. Here, here. I'm gonna start with 12B, and then we can continue forward. Okay, so 12B is very simple. The it asks us 12B asks us determine the intervals of increase and intervals of decrease for fx. Here, this is 12B. So how do we find the answer to that? Well, it's actually quite simple. The first thing that we have to do is obviously write down the critical values. We tend to use the critical values a lot, so remember to write it down, and remember to write it down from smallest to largest. And it talks about how we need to do something in intervals. And the way we do that is by simply turning these critical values into intervals. How do we do that? Well, we insert a infinite in both sides, negative infinite on this side and then positive infinite in the other side. We have to write down this sentence so that it tells the person that we're turning the critical values into intervals. It will become, this sentence is, these critical values divide the number line in two intervals, I believe. Two intervals. That is the sentence that you have to memorize. These critical values divide the number line into intervals. And how does it do that? So, like I said, we're going to have to write down infinite on one side and then infinite on the other side, right? I'm gonna have to quickly go to the balcony because my parents are talking and I don't want you to get interrupted by that. Alright, here we go. Alright, how do we input negative infinite sign on this side and positive infinite side on the other side? That's very simple. We just have to pass the baton and we just make sure that all of them are in a bracket. What do I mean? It means that we're gonna start with a bracket and then a negative infinite here, comma, -1 here, and then if I want to pass the baton to another bracket, a closed bracket, it will be -1 passing the baton to 0. And then if I want to pass the baton from 0 to 1, it will be writing 0 again, 1, and then 1, infinite. That will be it. And then you can try to use the example here. You can do -2, 0, and 2. And I'll come back to that later once I'm done explaining this. But basically, like I said, infinite on this side, infinite this side and this side, and then each one of them is mentioned twice. So -1, -1, passing the baton to 0, 0, 0, and then 1, 1. You can see that each one of them has been mentioned twice, and each one of them are in a bracket with something else before it starts a bracket with something else. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. So you can try this example here. You can pause the video and try this. And now I'm gonna answer it. So negative infinite, -2, pass the baton, -2 to 0, then passing the baton again, 0 to 2, then 2 to infinite. That'll be it. And then what happens after we know these intervals? Well, the second thing that we have to do is to plug into, to pick a test point. The interval is very important because that's how we can pick a test point. What do I mean? A test point is any number in between any of the close bracket ones. So any number, for example, in between -1 and 0. It seems like impossible because literally the only thing next to -1 is 0, or the only thing next to 0 is 1. But actually you can choose -0.5, or you can do -0.8, stuff like that. But a -0.5 is much easier to calculate because how are you going to calculate negative 0.8 if it's multiplied to something else, right? So best bet, choose 0.5, and best bet, choose a small number here, because it's gonna be very hard to multiply. Yes, you can choose, theoretically you can choose a number between infinite and 1, right? You can choose 999 because the number is all the way to infinite. But how are you going to do that when it comes to calculation later? How are you going to do if they say, for example, they ask, how are you going to calculate it? Because later on we don't have a calculator. So it's best to choose the number that's easiest to calculate. So it will be negative 0.5 here, 0.5 here. Wait. Few minutes. Sorry about that commercial break. Hope you liked it. The balcony is very cold. So a number between 1 and infinity, you can't choose 1, you can't choose infinity, it has to be a number between 1 and infinity. A number between 1 and infinity could be negative 2, and then here 2. You see how also that these number matches? So just in case I want to choose negative 0.8 here, then I have to choose 0.8 here. These things matches. And then after we've found a test point, we have to write it down, obviously. So here negative 2, here negative 0.5, and then 0.5, and then 2. After we pick the test point, the third step that we have to do is to plug into the derivative of fx. Remember, fx is equals to x to the power of 4 minus 2x squared plus 1. And then after we made it into a derivative, it turned into 4x3 minus 4x. Then we took out the common factor 4x. It becomes x squared minus 1. And because 1 squared is equals to 1 times 1, which is equals to 1, we factorized it. We made it into x minus 1, x plus 1. And this is a factorization property where a squared minus b squared is equals to a minus b, a plus b. Giving that, so we need to plug it into basically this. We need to plug it into fx. This is the final format, right? So after we plug it into, we can figure out the rest. But how do we even plug it in? So let's start with here. X equals to negative 2. We present it like this. At x equals to negative 2, f derivative, remember, so we need that little thing on top. F equals to negative 2. X as f derivative inputted by negative 2 will equal to 4 negative 2 times negative 2 minus 1 times negative 2 plus 1. Okay, that will equal to 4 times negative 2 is going to become negative 8 times negative 2 minus 1. I owe you $2. I'll owe you another $1. That will be 3 times I owe you $2. I give you $1, so I'll be negative 1. Okay, negative 8 times negative 3. Negative makes positive. That will become $24. And then times negative 1. So that will become negative 24. And then we'll have to keep doing the same thing for negative 0.5, 0.5, and then 2. And because we've already done this earlier, because the video didn't have a microphone, so the answer here is positive 1.5, negative 1.5, positive 24. And notice how we also make sure to write down the positive symbol. So this is positive 1.5, negative 1.5, positive 24. from here, okay, I'm gonna write this one too. This is negative 24. From here, we can see that two of them are negative, two of them are positive, and there's a relationship between the two of them. If this 2 is positive, right? This 2 is positive. Sorry, this 2 is positive. They have a relationship. And if this 2 is negative, they also have a relationship. What is the test point? No, in this test point, what is the interval that we used? So at negative 2, we used this. We used this one, right? The reason why we even got negative 2 in the first place, the test point of negative 2 in the first place, was because we took it from here. So that means this is negative infinity times, comma 1, negative 1. And then for here, it's going to be this one. Remember, we took it from here. So this is negative 1, 0. And then this is 0, 1. And then this is 1, comma infinity. Because there's a relationship between negative 24 and negative 1.5, that means that there's a relationship between negative infinity, negative 1, and then this symbol means a relationship. Sorry, it's not gonna fit. Relationship. They will have a relationship between 0 and 1. Like this. Because this is negative, this is also negative. And then it goes the same thing for this here and here, and you can try it. This will become, there's gonna be a relationship between negative 1, 0 relationship, and then it will be 1 infinity. And that's how we're going to present it. We're going to present it like this. After we pick the test point, we plugged it in, and I can slow it down so you can find the answer for yourself. And then we have to interpret the sign. That is the fourth step. Interpret the signs. F1x is increasing on this. Increasing as in like they are here. Here. They're increasing because this is positive, right? So they are increasing. Wait, let's see here. This is positive, positive. This is positive, therefore the one that is increasing is this one. Oh, there should be an infinity here. There. The one that is increasing is negative 1, comma 0 relationship 1, comma infinite. So here the one that's increasing is negative 1, comma 0, 1, comma infinite. And then the one that's increasing is the one that produced the negative values, which is negative 24, negative infinity, comma negative 1, and then negative 1.5 equals to 0, comma 1, and then this. So these two have a relationship, and these two are the one that is decreasing. That's why they are here. I hope that makes sense. I love you so much, and I apologize if this seems like a lot of things to do, but I think 12C is going to be much better. I love you.